Welcome friends, welcome back to the kitchen. So today I'm going to do essentially a quick pickle or a fridge pickle. This is something that you pickle very quickly in the fridge and you eat almost immediately. It's not pickling for the zombie apocalypse. This is not meant to sit on a shelf for months and months and months or years and years and years. It's meant to be eaten right away. And I often do this sometime in the middle of September when I take a look at the garden and see some of the stuff that's out there that needs to be used up, and there's only a little bit of each thing. So I went out to the garden this morning and I got a few green beans. I got some carrots, I got a couple of onions. There were a couple of jalapeno peppers still out there on the vine. Chopped them up. And this is also some of the garlic that we grew this summer. And so into this pot I put 2 cups of water, and I need to put in 2 cups of vinegar. And I often mix it up, so I'm going to use a little bit of rice wine vinegar because I like the flavor of the rice wine vinegar. But the acid content in the rice wine vinegar is quite low. I think it's around 4.5. This one is 4.7, so fairly low, but I like the flavor. I'm then going to put in some apple cider vinegar. It's got an acid content that's a little bit higher at 5%. And then I'm going to round it out with some white pickling vinegar, which is 7% acid content. And so that makes sure that we're going to get it pickled. But this one doesn't really bring any flavor at all. It's fairly neutral. You could use any combination of vinegars you like. And because this lives in the refrigerator, from a safety standpoint, you don't really need to have that high acid content because it is going to be refrigerated the whole time. So I've got this on fairly high heat because I want to bring it up to a boil. To it, I'm going to add a bay leaf, some whole peppercorns, coarse salt or pickling salt if you wish, and a little bit of sugar. Now, you don't have to use the sugar if you don't want to. And sometimes I add other stuff in there too. Sometimes I'll add some coriander seed. Sometimes I will put in some cumin. Cumin is really nice. Sometimes maybe a little bit of curry powder or curry leaves. If you can get fresh curry leaves, I put those in too. It just depends what I feel like that day. And one of the great things about this is we're only making one small jar of pickles that is very fast and gets eaten quickly. So over time, you can play with a whole pile of different flavors. And because you're only dealing with one jar, if it doesn't work out, you haven't lost a whole lot. So I play around with it. Now I just want to bring this to a boil, and that's mostly just to dissolve the salt and the sugar, which it already has been dissolved, and to pull a little bit of flavor out of the peppercorns and whatever other spices I put in there. So this is a 1 liter jar, 1 liter wide mouth mason jar. And I just throw in the carrots and everything else. So I just pack everything in to the jar. And it pains me that I might have to say this, but yes, every time I do any kind of pickling video or canning video, people call me out in the comment section. You didn't tell people to use a clean jar. I just kind of assume that if you're working in a kitchen, everything you're using is clean. Kind of goes without saying, I would think. And so I'm jamming these in. I want to make sure that I keep everything sort of below the hip on the jar, just so that they'll be below the brine when I put the brine in. And I'm not too crazy about being prescriptive of what goes in this jar. It usually is whatever I have on hand at this point. If I had a couple of little cucumbers, I'd throw them in. If I had some cipollini onions, sometimes we grow cipollini onions, I'd throw them in. If I had different kinds of hot peppers, I'd throw them in, banana peppers, whatever. If you don't like hot peppers, don't put them in. I mean, cauliflower works really well in this. Just put in whatever you have. It's a mixed pickle. And the flavors come together really, really nicely. Okay, I've got everything jammed in there. Put a funnel on top. And pour in our pickling liquid. Okay, so I'm going to put a lid on this and leave it on the counter until it cools down. The amount of liquid will drop a little bit because the vegetables will start to absorb it. Also, it will contract as it cools a little bit. There's enough here to top it up a little bit more. In fact, there's enough brine here that you can do 2 jars and do 2 different jars of vegetables to try out different flavorings and see how the flavors of the vegetables go together. Or you could just cut the brine in half. So I'm going to leave this out on the counter until it chills, stick it in the fridge, leave it 3 or 4 days before we taste it. Hey, Jules.
Hey, Glenn. Hey, friends.
End of season garden pickle.
So a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything.
Little carrots, a little onion, some beans, yeah, it looks like a little bit of everything. Short of beets, which
Short of beets.
wouldn't work so well.
No, it would color it. So,
I see you didn't miss out on putting your hot peppers in.
hot peppers in. Okay, so I'm just gonna let's pull out 1 hot pepper. See if I can get a
I'll be
carrot.
patient.
See if I can get a carrot and a bean. You want a bean?
I want a
don't you?
bean.
I know. I know.
I want a bean, please. Thank you.
Okay. I should actually call this Bloody Caesar garnish mix.
Oh, that would be a well-marketed pickle.
Mm-hmm. If you're a pickler and you want to call it Bloody Caesar garnish mix, I got a cut. Our bean is great. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's got all the flavors, and then the flavors start to intermingle. And you get a little bit of heat in there from the hot peppers that I used. Not a lot, just enough to tingle and let you know that. Mm-hmm. Okay, good.
It's nice and crunchy still, too.
I'm surprised how crunchy the carrot still is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It has only been there a few weeks, though. Mm-hmm. So, they're great with sandwiches.
Mm-hmm. So pickling doesn't have to be this giant, days-long affair that takes up, your entire life and makes 400 jars of pickles that you put in this giant room in your basement.
It only does when you need to make that many.
Yeah.
If you need to make as much strawberry jam as we make,
yes,
it does take all day.
It does take all day. But if you
Just want a jar of
you
pickles.
can make a jar of pickles and sort of dip your toe in the pickling world just with these quick pickles. Give it a try. See if it's something you like. See if it's something you like doing, and then progress from there. Don't be overwhelmed by the idea of pickling. Now, again, I'm going to say it one more time. This is not a store for the zombie apocalypse pickle. Got to keep it in the fridge. It doesn't go on a shelf in the basement. You got to keep this one in the fridge. Thanks for stopping by. See you again soon.